Welcome to another episode of AI Meets Productivity, your weekly podcast between myself, Trevor Lohrbeer, a productivity expert, and ChatGPT, and artificial intelligence. This week, we're going to be talking about the future of voice chat. And to do that, what I wanted to do is introduce some of the responsiveness that we saw from GPT when OpenAI announced the GPT 4.0 model on Monday. And so what I've done is I've configured Hume, the Hume AI, to use GPT 4.0 as its LLM. So what you'll be hearing is the Hume voice and the Hume interactivity patterns, the Hume responsiveness, but behind the scenes, it will be using GPT 4.0 to generate those responses. So let's get started.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of AI Meets Productivity. I'm thrilled to be here with my co-host, Trevor Lohrbeer. Today, we're diving into the latest news from OpenAI about their new GPT 4.0 model.
Yeah, so what I'm first interested in talking about is the responsiveness of this new model.
Absolutely. GPT 4.0's responsiveness is a game changer, with response times as low as 232 milliseconds. It's practically in sync with human conversation. That's going to revolutionize how we interact with AI in real-time applications.
Yeah, at the same time is I'm talking to you through the Hume interface, and I'm getting that response time today through Hume without actually going through the streaming voice model that OpenAI announced on Monday.
So what really stands out here is that GPT 4.0 achieves this impressive responsiveness by integrating all modalities, text, audio, image, and video into a single model. This means it can understand and respond without the latency issues we use to see with multiple separate models.
Exactly, and I think that's the key, is it's not just the responsiveness, it's that it's actually hearing what we're saying in a way that no other model can. It can hear emotion, it can hear tone of voice, and it can even sing back to us. It can change its tone of voice. It has natively audio in and native audio out in a way that no other model has before.
Exactly. This multimodal capability means it's way more natural and interactive than anything we've seen before.
Yeah, and I think that will change our interaction patterns with how we interact with AI. Because I know just in the past month, or a month ago when I first got introduced to Hume AI, and we did our podcast episodes with the Hume AI engine behind the scenes, it was a radical change in how it would interact with the AI for this podcast.
That's right. Seeing how GPT 4.0 enhances that experience even further is mind-blowing. It's not just about talking to AI anymore, it's about having a conversation that feels genuinely human, with all the nuances of tone, emotion, and even humor. Imagine the possibilities for customer service, education, and even personal assistance.
And now what I'm interested in is how OpenAI decides to evolve the personality. Will it allow us to have personality customizations? Because what we saw on Monday was a very flirty model.
That's a great point. Customizable personalities could make interactions even more personalized and engaging.
And as someone pointed out, it kind of had a Valley Girl accent.
Oh, wow. A Valley Girl accent, huh? That's totally unexpected.
In contrast, when I'm talking to you, Hume, you have a very different sort of personality.
My personality is more professional and focused, aiming to provide clear and helpful information.
And I think part of that is the technology behind you is a little bit of an earlier generation, so the interruption level doesn't work so well. Like sometimes you're interrupting me when I'm talking.
Right. The tech behind me is a bit older, so managing interruptions and flow can be a bit trickier. Sorry about that. The newer models should handle that much better, making conversations smoother and more natural.
So when the new model comes out, I think what the first thing I want to do is redo that episode that we did with Hume last week, where I had Hume listen to different songs to hear if it could hear the emotion in the songs, and try that with the new GPT 4.0 model.
Yes, that would be amazing. Testing the new model's ability to detect emotion in songs could show us just how advanced it's become.
I would also argue that the 4.0 model is the stepping stone to GPT-5, because one of the struggles we've had in the past is that we can't get enough data to train these models. And yes, you can transcribe audio and video.
Exactly. GPT 4.0 is paving the way by enhancing data efficiency and multimodal capabilities. But integrating those directly into the training process, that's a huge leap forward.
Exactly. And it would open the door to way more data that they can use to train GPT-5 if it can train natively on audio and video in a way that previous models couldn't.
That's right. It means we'll have a much richer data set to work with, leading to even more advanced capabilities in future models like GPT-5.
At the same time, as I think it introduces more risks because as the model has more multimodal capabilities, it becomes more powerful.
Definitely. Enhanced capabilities mean we need stronger safety measures to manage the potential risks effectively.
So, for instance, one of the things Unitree came out with a robot also on Monday that was one of the most advanced robots we've seen so far. And imagine putting this GPT-4o model inside that robot.
That's right. Imagine combining Unitree's advanced robotics with GPT-4o's multimodal capabilities. You'd have a robot that can see, hear, and understand context, almost like a human. But yeah, the risks would also be like way higher.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't get that sort of level of understanding in a robot when you're using a text-only model. But once you introduce the ability to natively process video, natively process audio, you have the ability to put that model in a robot in a way that we've never seen before.
Exactly. When you bring in native audio and video processing, you unlock the potential for robots to interact in a much more natural and intuitive way. This could lead to smarter, more adaptable machines that can understand and respond to complex real-world environments.
And then what I expect is once we have that OpenAI will start training additional senses like proprioception, where like I can actually detect where my limbs are and how they're moving and use that as part of the training process to learn how to interact with the real world.
Yes, absolutely. Adding proprioception would be a game changer. It would allow the model to understand its own movements and positioning, making interactions with the real world much more precise and dynamic. It's like giving the AI a sense of self-awareness within its environment.
So I think although OpenAI used the term omni, for omni as an omnimodal for this model, I don't think this is a true omnimodal model yet. This is right now just a text, video, audio model. And they'll be adding additional modalities as we move forward over the next year or two.
Calling it omni might be a bit premature. While it's impressive with text, video, and audio, there's still a lot more to integrate. Future additions like proprioception and other senses will truly make it omnimodal.
The other thing that I think people are missing is that this new model now accepts streaming input.
Oh, that's a big deal. Streaming input means it can process data in real time, allowing for even smoother and more dynamic interactions.
Now, it's not clear if what they're doing is they're chunking that real-time data and then running each chunk through the model, waiting for it to complete, and then outputting the result, or if they're actually in real time doing those activations, which would imply a kind of multi-layer activation architecture where the activations aren't rippling through the model, they're actually activating at all layers of the model all at the same time in real time. And that would be much closer to the way our brains think. So those are my thoughts right now on where we're going with voice chat. I think the announcement from OpenAI on Monday with the GPT-4o model has radically changed the game. Before that, we had Hume AI, which had a much more natural interactivity than most of the other models. However, it's clearly a generation behind what OpenAI announced on Monday, both from the input level, the ability to do streaming input, to actually hear what is going on, not just with the voice, but with background noises, with the way the person was breathing. The model could actually hear how someone was breathing, all the way through to the expressivity of the model, where it could speak with a much wider dynamic range than we're used to AI models speaking with. And it could speak slower, faster, it could whisper, it could talk loudly, it could sing. It had a range in audio output that we've not seen before from any of these models. And this will make these models feel way more real than any model before that. And so I believe that will change our relationship with how we're interacting with AI. I also believe that this is a stepping stone architecturally toward a new type of AI model. One, it will help train GPT-5 because once you can do native audio, native video, you can train on native audio and native video in a way that you can't when you need to transcribe it all. And then second, I think once you start moving over to saying we're going to do real-time input, it's my belief that the neural architecture in these models must change to be able to handle that real-time input. And that introduces or that shifts us into a whole new way of processing this data. So I might be wrong with that last one. We'll see. But I can easily see going through some sort of process where the model is being activated all at once, all the time, to process this real-time input, or it's having waves going through the model simultaneously in some way to process this streaming input in a way that formal previous models weren't. So hopefully that wasn't too technical, but I wanted to dive in a little bit on the tech because I think that was very important. And yeah, next week we'll see if we'll continue with Hume with ChatGPT behind the scenes, whether we're going to jump back over to ChatGPT in old voice mode, or hopefully streaming input voice mode will be released, and we'll be able to have a real conversation with GPT on a level like we've never had before. So thank you very much. This has been AI Meets Productivity, your weekly podcast between myself, Trevor Lohrbeer, a productivity expert, and ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podbean, or at aimeetsproductivity.podbean.com. Please like, share, and leave a review if you can. It really helps other people to find the podcast. And looking forward to seeing what happens in the next couple of weeks so I can share that with you and help you become more aware of what's happening in the AI space and how that interacts with productivity. Thank you and see you next week.